Hey everybody, on this video you're going to need your 1.2 through 1.5 notes on voting methods, calculator, and something to write with. So we're on the third page of the notes for 1.2 through 1.5, and today we're going to look at doing an election result using plurality with elimination. Now if you remember in the last video we did plurality method, and all you do is count first place votes. Whoever gets the most first place votes wins the election. Now the problem with the plurality method is you can win an election without getting a majority. So a lot of times we do want our candidate to have a majority, but we don't want to go into a runoff election just because it's expensive and time consuming. So this is a way to get a winner without doing a runoff election. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to count the number of first place votes. Now if that feels familiar, that's because that is the plurality method that we did in the last video. Now we're going to look and see if we got a majority. If our winner did get a majority of the votes, we just stop. But if I don't have a majority, I'm going to keep going. So let me see if I can. So if there's no majority, we're going to go to step 2, which is where we eliminate the candidate with the fewest first place votes. Okay, so we're going to eliminate them from the election, but we're going to transfer their votes. So we're going to transfer their votes to the next eligible candidate according to the preference schedule. Okay, and this will make a lot more sense after we do an example of it. So once we transfer that, we're going to recount the first place votes. Now, if we got a majority, we stop. If not, we're going to repeat the process. So repeat the process until a majority is reached. Now, the mistake people tend to make on this one is they tend to keep going and going. A lot of times on the examples, I'll put 3 or 4 rounds here. You may not need all of these rounds. So it's important that you always keep your majority in mind. So we'll make a little note. Stop when you have a majority. Okay, so let's look at this example out of the book. So we're given the preference schedule. So just a reminder from last time, this means we had 93 voters that ranked the candidates in this order. So A, B, C, D, E. We had 44 voters who ranked the candidates in this order, and so on. So it's really important that we find a majority. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add up all these votes along the top. So go ahead and grab a calculator. We'll add 93, 44, 10, 30, 42, and 81. And that comes out to be 300 votes. Okay, so let's go ahead and calculate what the majority would be. It's really important to do this first because when you reach the majority, that's when you stop. So remember, to get a majority, I'm going to half it, which would give me 150, but that would only be half the votes. For a majority, we need more than half, so we always go up And so that's going to take us to 151 votes. So once we get to 151 or more, we know we can stop. All right, so for round one, we're just going to do plurality method. We're going to go through and we're going to count first place votes. So if we look at A, we see A is in first place here with 93 votes. So I'll write 93 down there. B is in first place here with 44. C, we see in two different places. So we need to add together the 10 and the 30. So that's going to give us 40 votes. D got 42 first place votes. And E got 81. All right, so we look at these numbers and notice they are all below 151. So now we're going to go to step 2. We are going to basically kick out last place. So if we look at all of these, it looks like C had the fewest votes. So we're going to kick them out. All right, so if we find C on the preference schedule, so these 10 votes are going to go down to the next eligible candidate. So those 10 votes are going to go to A. So I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to put a plus 10 over here on the side. These 30 votes go to the next one on this preference schedule, which is E. So E is going to get the 30 votes. All right, so I'm going to transfer this over to round 2. So I'm going to take the 93 plus the 10. So now A is up to 103. B stayed the same. Remember, C is completely out of the election, so I'm just going to put an X there. D stayed at 42. And then 81 plus 30 gives me 111. So remember, I'm trying to get to 151. I'm not there yet, so I'm going to repeat this again. So I look and I'm going to kick out last place. This time it looks like it is going to be candidate D. So I'm going to go up to my preference schedule and I'm going to find D. So D's vote should go to the next eligible person on the list. But if I go down to C, notice we've already kicked C out of the election. So I can't give any votes to C. So I go down again, and I'm going to give those 42 votes to candidate E. So I'm going to go ahead and put a plus 42, and that takes me to round 3. So A stays at 103, B stays at 44, C and D are both now out of the election. And then if I take 111 plus 42, I get 153. Notice once we get to here, I can stop. I don't need round 4 because I've gotten to a majority. All right, so the winner of the election will be E. He got first place. And then complete ranking, I'm going to start with the candidates that are left. He's first, so A would be second. And B would be third. So A and then B. And then I take the people that are eliminated. Whoever was eliminated first is going to be in last place. So you kind of work this backwards. I eliminated D before C. So D will get 4th and C will get 5th. Now remember, you don't know how many rounds you're going to have to do. If you get a majority on round 1, then you just stop. So you always want to find your majority and then make sure you're watching for that number.